Hello, I'm very excited to record the first proper chess video, which will be absolutely essential for those of you who are just decided to start learning chess. So, chess is a board game essentially, because you do need a board for it. Once you learn the rules and you get more comfortable with the theory and the moves and the pieces, you can of course play it in your head. If you ventured to chess because of Queen's Gambit, you will see that at night she sees the board in her head, basically on the ceiling. Well, in the film it's due to a drug, but in real life it's absolutely possible because your brain is gonna be trained to be able to visualize the board. But to begin with, you definitely need a chessboard. Now, you could have an actual physical chessboard, which I personally would highly recommend to those who are beginning, even if it's a tiny one, even if it's magnetic or not magnetic, wooden, any kind of style, it would be essential because our brain remembers moves by visually seeing it. And so a chessboard in the physical reality would be a 3D chessboard, while on the computer, what you see also now, it's two-dimensional, right? So there is a bit of difference between learning with an actual chessboard or online, but for the sake of today's video, I'm going to actually introduce you to the pieces and the chessboard itself on the computer. But when you take an actual chessboard in front of you, you will be able to replicate everything I say today. And as you can see, I have the chessboard set up, but what we are gonna do is I'm gonna remove all of them, which I can do on this platform. I'm using lichess.org, and they have this fantastic feature where you can actually set the pieces as you wish. So I took my bin and I'm just gonna delete them all. And so we are left with this beautiful chessboard. It has 64 squares because we have 8 squares vertically and 8 squares horizontally. And you won't find this with every chessboard, but in general, in the professional, the professional realms, you would have the letters and the numbers on it, but even if you don't, you can memorize it easily. So it starts with A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and then number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, where you see number 1 and 2, these will be for the white pieces. Where you see number 7 and 8, these will be always for the black pieces. You may ask me, yeah, Rosie, but what if the letters and the numbers are not there? How do I know where does the white go? It actually doesn't really matter as long as you remember one thing, and that is that the queen always goes on its own color, meaning I just picked up the white queen and it's gonna be always the queen is in the middle of the board next to the king, and the queen will be always on its own color. So the white queen goes on the white square and the black queen will go on the black square. This is how I teach kids, but I would teach everyone to remember. So essentially, if you did not have the letters there, you would just need to remember, you look at the 2 squares. So if this board was turned around, the white queen would go here onto the white square and the black queen over here. The king always follows it next to, so the kings go just beside the queen in the middle 2 lines. So if you have the letters, you know that the D is for the queen, E is for the king. And that's why when later on you will learn openings, you will hear about Queen's Gambit or King's Gambit, because the Queen's Gambit starts with a d4 move. The pawn moves forward, so they named it after where the Queen stands on the chessboard. It's just an interesting insight. So these two pieces are set, and another thing that is important, that the chessboard is symmetrical. So it's like a mirror in the middle line here, and wherever the white queen goes, it's gonna be symmetrical to the black side as well. And also you will see that these colors, so we call that a black square and a white square, but of course, again, especially with online chess programs, you can have so many different colors to a chessboard. It could be purple, green, gray, blue, anything. What's important to remember is that it's always the dark and the light, and that's why I love chess, because I really feel like it represents the whole life. So it's a harmony between the dark and the light, and we play with these pieces. I just find it fascinatingly impressive to replicate life. Anyway, so get back to the board setup. So the queen and the king, they are the majestic pieces, I like to call them. And the queen is worth 9 points in chess. Now, these points I'm gonna tell you about, they are only important because we would like to distinguish how powerful they are, so that later on when you start playing, at the beginning, you will try not to sacrifice your queen, for example, because that has the most points. I think it's gonna become way more kind of clear as we go ahead, but just so you know, the points are only important so that you can distinguish between the pieces. So queen and king. Then we have the rook. So the rook is going either side, so right on the edge of the board, and it's gonna be the same for the black one. As we said, they are all symmetrical. So the rook is worth 5 points. So after the queen, that's the next very valuable piece. I'm gonna show you the moves after this, but like it's just important to see how they are set up first. Then we have the knight. My kids at school love to call it the horsey. I would recommend to use the knight in a professional setting, but yes, some people call it horse. I heard many different names for it, but that's the knight. And the knight is worth 3 points. So let's do the same with black pieces. We have knights there. And then we will have the bishops. So bishop goes right next to the king and the queen, and the same is gonna go for the black side, the dark side. So the bishop is worth 3 points as well. So bishop and the knight, both 3 points. The rook is 5, the queen is 9, and I kind of missed out on the king, because you might have heard that in chess, the goal of the game is to checkmate the king. So essentially, you will not capture the king. Every other piece on the chessboard, our aim will be to capture the opponent's pieces. So if you are playing with the white pieces, you want to capture the black ones, and vice versa. But with the king, you can't capture it, because when you attack a king, this is called check. So you are checking the king. Essentially, when the king is in check, that check has to be resolved. You can't move somewhere unless it's resolving the check situation. I will show you that, of course, very soon. But the reason why we don't give a point value to the king, it's because it stays on the chessboard no matter what. Our aim is to essentially suffocate the king so that it can't move anywhere, because it's anywhere it would move, it's in check. I hope that's kind of clear-ish. But I will show it to you in practice, so it's gonna be a way more understandable. Then we are gonna just pop out the pawns. So they are not prawns, but pawns. And you have 8 of these with each color. So the white ones, and they are kind of a protective kind of layer in front of the other pieces. Now the pawns are worth 1 point only. So let me show you this. The pawns are only worth 1 point, but do not underestimate them because they can do magic. When we get to the next stage about the movement of the pieces, you will see what I mean by magic. But try to keep them, try not to lose them, try to make sure that you use them wisely, you use them for protection, especially protecting the king in front, behind it. So yeah, this would be the basic setup. Now, what might happen is that in real life your chess set has of course different shapes. So I had some questions asking, but I don't know, I keep mistaking the queen to the bishop because maybe on a real chess set they look very similar, or even the king. So as a general rule, the king usually has a cross on top of it, and the queen has like a crown type of thing on top. And also as a general rule, the queen and the king are the tallest pieces, and then the bishop would be a bit shorter if you are not sure how to decide between bishop and queen. The knight will be very evident, and then the rook and the pawns as well. The pawns will be the shortest pieces. So it's wonderful, I think, in chess that even the height of the pieces on a real chessboard would somewhat represent this point system. Think about it like that. In a football game, you have 11 players, I believe. I had to ask a dear follower to help me out. But yeah, you have 11 players. Sometimes it might happen that you get a penalty and you have to dismiss maybe 1 or 2 players. So then one team has 11 players and the other one has 9. Who do you think is stronger in this case? Who do you think has the most power? I believe the one who still has the full team, 11 players, because they have more running legs to kick the ball, more chances to take advantage in a situation. It's the same in chess. Your aim is to try and not to lose your pieces. Try to keep them and try to take the opponent's pieces. Because the more pieces you have, the more chance you have to checkmate the opponent. So this was our first part. This is how to set up the chessboard. If you don't have the letters and numbers here, when you look here, A1 square is always dark. So if you have a chessboard in front of you and you can spot the left bottom corner and that's dark, you can call it A1. And then of course from then on you will be able to know that next to A is B, C, D, E, F, G, H. And then 1, 2, 3, and you can even write it out on a piece of paper and stick it there, or any method like that. The importance of the letters and numbers is truly when you start recording games maybe, or you start learning games from a book, because a chess game can be recorded and we would use the letters and numbers and the names of the pieces. I'm gonna definitely create a video about how to read a chess game, how to write it, because there are different signs, but just so you know, in the future it will be important. But to begin, the most important thing to know is to remember that the queen in the middle of the 2 lines is always on its own color. So the white queen on the white color, the dark queen on the dark. and right next to it is the king sitting. Any chess tournament or chess game you would play anywhere in the world, these are the same rules. Of course, nowadays there are different chess types, like there are multi-dimensional, I don't know, all sorts, and bullet chess and all that, but the standard chess rules are these. And the great thing is that you don't even need to speak the same language as your opponent, but you will be able to play a game of chess with anybody once you learn the rules. So yeah, for as first part, I believe that's gonna be enough information. At home, you can actually take the pieces, and if you use Lichess, you will find this tool under tools, and it's gonna be board editor. I'm gonna link it down below this video just to make sure you guys find it. And yeah, just as I started, you can delete all the pieces and then you can pop them on. Hold on. And then you just click on the hand and then you pick up, let's say, the queen and put it anywhere on the board. Okay? So you can actually practice how to set up the chessboard. If you have an actual physical board, highly recommend to practice on that as well. Make sure you familiarize a bit with how the letters and the numbers would look like, and yeah, have fun getting to the first step of learning chess. I hope this was beneficial to you. Let me know if there are any questions, and we are gonna move to part 2 where we discuss the moves of the pieces. See you in the next one. Bye. Oh, that's not what I was gonna do. It's completely, there is always white, sorry, always dark.